Hey, so I'm really tired right now. It's been a rough few days. But please don't. I don't want that to be mistaken for like depression or hopelessness. Because I have a lot of faith and hope and trust with the circumstance that I'm about to share with you. But I realize that I probably look, pretty tired, crappy, sad, you might think. But my husband shared a prayer request this morning on several social media platforms, and some of you might already be aware or might have already seen that, but I thought that, or I felt the need to come on and kind of give a further explanation about what's going on. On August 16th, it was the second day of third grade for our little girl, for our daughter Evelyn, who just turned 9, like a week or two ago, a couple weeks ago. She all of a sudden just started crying out in pain. She had really, really severe leg pain. It was bedtime. We were like about to go upstairs to get ready for bed. And she just started crying out in pain that her legs hurt really bad. And this is actually the second time that this had happened. A few months back, like exact same scenario. It was the evening. She was just sitting there, and all of a sudden she just started screaming out in pain. And when Ruben and I examined her and checked on her and stuff, our best guess was that she probably had like a Charlie horse, and she didn't really know how to describe it, because we figured, oh, like she probably hasn't had one before, and we thought that's what it was. And we like helped her through that one, and that one lasted maybe like an hour, and then it went away, but we didn't really think it was anything more serious than that. And then like a few months later, this happened on August 16th, and because it was the second time that it had happened and we had no explanation for the first time, we're like, no, this time we're going to take her into the hospital. Like, I want them to I very much wanted them to like investigate it, make sure it wasn't, something really serious. And we took her in, and they did an X-ray. They ruled out like a fracture. They did blood work. It did show some inflammation, but they didn't like, it wasn't like pointing anywhere. Like it wasn't anything where it was like, oh, okay, we think it's this, we think it's that, we want to do this scan or that one. They were just kind of like, we don't know what it is. Like, let her rest for a few days, follow up with her primary care doctor, and go from there. And that's kind of how it started. That was the beginning of the journey. That was on August 16th. So it's been a couple months now. And the first 10 days or so were, they were like kind of on and off, like where she didn't walk for a few days, and she did walk, and she tried to go to school, but she was on like, we were giving her Motrin and ibuprofen at the doctor's orders, like alternating them for the severe pain. We were giving her, we were trying different things like ice pack, heating pads, massage, but we couldn't. It was very, very sensitive to touch, but like we were just trying everything that we could think of for her. And it was on and off. And then there came a point where I think she went several days without walking. I think it was 9 days straight that she didn't walk at all. And we took her to our church block party, and they prayed for her. Remember, we put her in the we had a wagon, and because we didn't get a wheelchair or anything at that time yet, because everything in the beginning, we were expecting her, everyone, because we didn't know what it was and there wasn't a clear cause for it. We were all expecting her, and I mean, like her parents, her doctors, the ER doctor, anybody she saw, we expected her to be able to just like start walking again at any moment, like it would just go away. And it wasn't going away, but they prayed. We took her to the prayer like tent, and they prayed for her, and we went to get snow cones. They had a snow cone truck, and went to get snow cones immediately after the prayer. And she's like in the middle of eating her snow cone, and she just kind of looks up at me, and she's like, I want to try to walk, just out of nowhere. And we're like, okay, like, sure, like, let's have you try to walk. If you're saying you want to try to walk, we're gonna go with it. And we stood her up, and she started taking some steps, and then she's like, it feels weird. And I'm like, does it hurt? And she's like, no, it doesn't hurt. It feels weird. And she was able to walk, and she was like walking and running, and she went on the jumpy, and she, did the obstacle course. She played with her friends, and it was a miracle. And because she had been praying, and she prayed the night before, she wanted to be able to do the block party, and she did, and God answered her prayer. She was able to do the block party, and we went out to eat afterward. And on the drive home, her legs started hurting again. She wasn't able to walk, and she pretty much hasn't been able to walk or stand at all since, until Saturday. So she went like 7 weeks without walking or standing, and we got a wheelchair rental for her, and we're going through the insurance company to order a custom wheelchair for her, which is supposed to take a few months. And she on last Saturday, on October 15th, we put her to bed, and she was laying in her bed, and Ruben, her dad, went to go tuck her in, and he said that, with tears in her eyes, she looked up at him, and she said, I want to try to walk. And he was like, okay, let's try to walk. And again, it was kind of out of nowhere, and she just wanted to try to walk. And she, with his help, she needed a lot of assistance, but with his help, she took about 20 steps, and she went as far as she could, and then she couldn't anymore. So that was the other time that she was able to walk. And we know that there have been a lot of people praying for her, even though we haven't really put it out there to our friends and family, because honestly, we didn't know. Like, it's just so hard to explain, like, to communicate. It takes a lot of emotional energy to answer people's questions. I know they're well-meaning, but like, we didn't know what was going on, so it was hard to share with people and not have answers, and just like over and over again, not know what to say or how to explain it. And I think we also had the hope that it would just resolve it, like at any moment, like, oh, just, one more day and it'll be over and she'll be able to walk again. But she was able to take about those 20 steps, and our church family, I thank God for them. They've been with us every step of the way. So many people have been praying for her, and I really believe that that's what she was able to walk when she did on Saturday. Again, why she was able to walk at the block party, there's prayer behind that, and why she was able to walk on Saturday. She has seen several specialists now, and the last one that she saw was the neurologist, and they're the ones that told us that they wanted her to be admitted, to be evaluated, and like kind of like a more like thorough, concise, like just evaluation, everything, instead of it being drawn out over several weeks like it has been. And she's there now at the hospital. She was admitted to Rady Children's Hospital in San Diego yesterday, I believe, which happens to be the same hospital where our older daughter, Christina, who's now 18, she had a liver transplant there about 10 years ago when she was 8 years old, and she went through chemotherapy there. She had liver cancer and did about 10 rounds of chemotherapy, and I can't tell you how many similarities there have been with this experience and that one. I mean, they're two different things. One was cancer, and this one is just an inability to walk or stand. but there are just so many similarities, making all the, just scheduling all the doctor's appointments and the specialists, and just having to drop everything, and be there for them, and not knowing what to expect or what's going to happen next, and just checking in at the doctor's office and waiting in the waiting room and knowing the procedure. Like, it's such a weird thing to be like some kind of like expert or something at going to the emergency room with your kid. Like I went with her last week, and we knew we were going to go, and what did we do? I packed 2 bags. I packed 1 bag for the waiting room because I knew I was going to be there for hours, with like some entertainment and some snacks for her, and a book, and a charger, and water, right? And a sweater because it gets cold. I packed a